All right, Coach. On behalf of all of us here, we're so sorry for the loss of Coach Clark, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family and the UCF football family. I know it's a really tough week for you guys. Just what's this week been like? You're trying to process an unimaginable loss, and you got to get ready for a big football game at the same time.
Yeah, it's been a tough week, and that part's a process. The team that's grieving, and I think Coach Frost does a really good job with our team in explaining to them that there's a lot more important things than the game of football. That's our families and faith, and that's kind of just the message throughout the team. So those are good things to fall back on when you're dealing with really, really tough stuff. And the staff's obviously hurting. Listen, Coach Clark was as good as it gets as a football coach, but it's cliche when you hear this, but it's so true with him. Just an incredible person and human being, someone I looked up to, someone that mentored me in the last 8 months, a guy that I learned a lot from. Was kind of the glue guy for the staff. Larger than life personality, just incredible human being, and we're gonna miss him.
Steve, how have you seen the reaction from the players themselves? How have they been able to handle these kind of things, and what's been the message maybe to them to get through this tough time?
Credit to Coach Frost again, coming back to talking about the same things. When you have purpose in your life and there's an understanding, you don't ride the emotional roller coaster, then we can compartmentalize to get our work done. And our team's done a really nice job of that. And because of how much we all care about Coach Clark, we're going to get the work done, and we're going to do what it takes to prepare to win on Saturdays. That's important. So that's what Coach Clark would have wanted us to do, is to move forward. But yeah, certainly the reality is our guys are hurting, our staff is hurting and grieving for our friend.
Coach, what has it been like with Coach Bear taking up the role now in this situation? What's it been like working with him through this process?
Yeah, Coach Bear is such a pro, and here's a guy on our staff that has known him longer than anybody else and is close to him, was as close to him as anybody else, and he comes in and because of how much he cares about the kids and how much he cares about Coach Clark and his family and what he represents. I mean, he's just, I can't say enough great things about Coach Bear, his knowledge of football, what he's been able to do with these guys, and not just be a football coach, but be a mentor through a really tough time.
Coach, from your observations, how did Coach Clark connect with his players? I mean, clearly, a lot of people love him.
Yeah, one is just how authentic he is. He's no different with the staff than how he is with the players when we're in meetings or when we're on the practice field. Like, yeah, he's got a bite to him, which every good coach probably needs, in particular the offensive line. But he meets each individual person where they're at. He's just had a crazy ability to be able to relate to anyone. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter if you're from the South or if you're from the West Coast or the East Coast. Just, yeah, he did an incredible job of being able to reach people on a level that's, I don't know, things that I try to do. He's really who he is. He was an extremely authentic person, and I think that the kids, they buy into that.
Obviously, the whole team is grieving. These are young men, still maybe experiencing a death like this for the first time. How have they kind of rallied and supported each other? And how have you and coaching staff kind of helped in that part of the process?
When you get to be a part of a team, and that's something that we probably all take for granted, when you get to be a part of a team, you have teammates to support you. And grief is, it's an interesting thing, because you can go 5 minutes and be a normal day, and then you get hit, randomly because of something that reminded you of our friend that passed. So I think just being able to rely on your teammates, and it's no different for us as a staff, just reminding each other how much we love each other and care about each other and why we do this. These things sound cliche, but it's so real when you get to be a part of a team and again, credit to Coach Frost and the rest of the staff with how we've really attacked this thing for the last eight months. Like, as a staff and as a team, we know that we can count on each other, and that certainly helps.
What do you feel like you most learned from Coach Clark as a mentor, and then what would you say are maybe your favorite memories that you have over the 9 months you guys worked together?
Yeah, well, Coach Clark was really able to help me, when we start from ground one with this offense, and here's a guy with a wealth of experience, and, stress level goes up because you got a lot of work to do in a short amount of time to get there, and Coach Clark's personality and the way he attacks and approaches everything was always with a smile, so that could always bring me back into a lot less dark place, So put it this way, Coach Clark was the light that could illuminate the room and make things a little bit lighter for us. Me in particular, I thought that that is something that I aspire to be more like, and maybe be a little bit less negative at times. Like, he's just super positive, and I'm going to miss that. And definitely that's probably one of the biggest things I'm going to take from his approach, just generally about everything, whether it's how we're going to get the practice scripts put together and how we're going to get the film watched and the schedule. The way he attacked that was always a little more level-headed, and that's something that I can take. And I'm sure that comes from his wealth of experience as a head coach too. So that was good. And I forgot the second part of your question.
Just the other memories you had over the course of working together?
Well, when we first moved out here and none of our families were in town, we got to spend a lot of time together. So maybe some of those memories are going to stay private.
Coach, you have the Big 12 opener now coming up. Just what are you interested in seeing this team do now that they're going up against the Big 12 defense for the first time this season?
Yeah, our guys are excited to play this game. Outside of everything and the grief that we're going through, our players are still excited to play this game. And I think, me personally, what I'm excited to do to see is our guys go out and execute in what's I'm assuming is going to be a relatively hostile environment. It's our first road game. It's our first league game on the road. So I think probably more than anything, I'm excited to see the guys step up to the challenge, which they've done a nice job of everything that we've thrown at them. No, it's not been perfect, but I think our guys are prepared and ready. And we got a couple more days of work we need to get done, but I think we're excited as a whole and a collective group, and I'm speaking for the offense when I say this. Man, we're excited for the challenge that we're going to get from playing against a really good defense in a hostile environment.
You have a challenge of facing a leader in the Big 12 and fumbles recovered at this point. Just can you talk about what you've done with the team just in terms of ball security?
Yeah, we put a premium on ball security every day, so, whether it's in our stretch periods, like we always have coaches and managers raking at the ball to try to that's our everyday stuff. So not like we did anything like outside of the norm, but yeah, that's been a focus is ball security. That's every day.
What's been your impressions of Tatum Jackson so far, what he was able to do last week?
Yeah, I mean, Tay's been steadily getting better every day since he got here, and in particular all things that we talked about a few weeks ago where he really got the fire lit under his butt when he wasn't announced a starter for the first week, and he's been a pro and really pleased with the execution of the offense. I think the thing that Tay's doing a really nice job of is we get in a situation where maybe the play wasn't as perfect as we hoped it might be and the look we might have gave him on scout team, and here we are, we have to play off schedule a little bit and we have to make some subtle changes. And what he's done a good job of taking care of the football and maybe taking a play that would have been a negative or just a 0-yard gain and turn it into a 2-yard gain. 2nd and 8's a lot easier than 2nd and 10. I think that's one thing that we're proud of what he's been able to do. It's not always going to be the flashy plays, the big time throws. It's just the simple play of, hey, we really don't have anything here and we're going to live to play second down, or we're going to turn it into a 2-3 yard gain. Now, of course, some of those types of plays end up being explosive plays too. So that's probably number one thing that I've been pleased with Tay, and then he's consistently becoming more consistent, which is great, and that's what we need from the quarterback position.
Coach, you take it with the play, your tight end room. A lot of guys made an impact against North Carolina. I think Dylan Wade, even though he went out early, still might have led the team in receptions. Count Fox got his first touchdown. Caden Peening, for the first time, he was playing a lot for a true freshman. Just kind of talk about that group and how you plan to utilize them this year.
Yeah, right now it's a little bit of tight end by committee. You know, here we are. It's still relatively early in the year, but you throw in fall camp and all those other things, so no one's 100%. So that's how it's going to be all year. We're going to have to kind of platoon that position. We do a lot of different things, like we've talked back in fall camp about what the tight end position really is. It's the Swiss Army knife of the offense. So it's good to see all those guys make some plays, but they're learning and growing, and we're not there yet. And that's the cool thing about this game is we get to go back to work tomorrow and continue to get better. And I like to think that we're just going to continue to get better. But we're going to see all those guys play.
What did Caden do for a true freshman to make an impact? Early on, and I know he missed pretty much the whole preseason, right? I know Coach said he had a hamstring or something, so he was limited early. So what has he shown to prove that he's worthy of getting out there for such a young guy?
Yeah, one, he's willing to be physical, and he's a bigger person, so he does a good job with that. Which is an important part of the game. He's got good feet, he's got good hands, he moves, he's a cerebral kid, it cares, it matters. He's a football guy, so we knew that he was going to contribute this season pretty early on. Unfortunate for him, he had a couple minor setbacks, but yeah, he's getting closer and closer to being where we want him to be, and there's some time left this season for him to continue and grow. But there's a lot of runway for that guy. He's going to be a good player here.
So as a committee approach, and you're kind of like shifting, multiple guys in and out on over the course of a series. How are you kind of like finding that sweet spot of how to use these guys and best utilize what they can do in your offense?
Yeah, with the way we manage our personnel, sometimes there's going to be a specific play that we want to have XYZ guy in, and it might be because his skill set's really tailored for the thing we're asking him to do, whether it's a run play, whether it's pass protection, or maybe, hey, this guy's just really good at running that route. But in the course of the game, you might not be in a situation where you can afford to sub. We got the defense in a look that we want to keep them in. If we sub, they sub. Allows them to get fresh D linemen out there. So with that being said, we'll have some specific plays we want, and it's not just the tight ends, it's all positions. There might be a specific play that we want to have XYZ guy in a certain spot so that he can run that play. But there's layers to this thing. Sometimes that you can't sub because you're going to lose your advantage. And then other times there might be a guy that needs to go get Gatorade and he can't play for a couple plays. So all of our players need to know all the positions, and then you only have so many reps in practice. So I know that's kind of a word sandwich for your question, but there's just so many layers to that. But obviously we want to put our players in position to be successful, and sometimes it's going to be like Kylan on a route, or sometimes it might be D-Wade, or sometimes it might be Caden or Max, so it just kind of depends on the situation week by week.
Going into a hostile road environment for the first time, just kind of how do you I know it's possible really to prepare for what it's going to feel like, but just how much is that a focus this week of just making sure the offense is on the same page?
Yeah, I mean, we'll work the environmental things, like the crowd noise and all that, just, because I'm sure it's going to be loud on third down, it's going to be loud in the red zone, so those are just some of the situations we got to manage. But outside of that, it's no different than preparing for any game. You kind of have to handle all the situations. The wacky thing about situational football is you're always going to be over-prepared for those things, and that takes away from other things you want to do. But as long as we have our bases covered, then you can feel real confident when that situation does come up, be ready to go.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.